I was just going to jump all over the place here. First of all, if I could give the Catholic Church's position, because it's over the centuries on capital punishment, it's been all over the place, particularly quoting Thomas Aquinas, and you'll still get arguments today between Catholics on what their particular positions are. So if I could give the official position of the Catholic Church on capital punishment, I'll quote from the Vatican document to the United Nations in 1999, where it gave a strong affirmation of the dignity of the human person and the sacredness and inviolability of human life. Therefore, even for the most serious crimes, authorities should limit themselves to non-lethal means of punishment, as these means are more in keeping with the common good and more in conformity with the dignity of the human person. Then it goes on to analyse particular groups in society who don't have a strong voice as others, more liable to capital punishment in particular parts of the world, etc. For the National Council of Churches, they've been sponsoring a reconciliation program for countries of the South Pacific for the training of church leaders and a new wave of politicians in the South Pacific. And when they look at the area of forgiveness, they put these together. To be truly just, we need truth and we need mercy. To bring mercy and truth together gives us forgiveness. Then we have justice, and if we truly have all that, that gives us peace. And only when we have truth, mercy, justice and peace will we be reconciled. And then quote Psalm 85 verse 10, that the aim is not to punish, to take people's lives, but it is to seek reconciliation. Some years ago, I, with many others, was monitoring in the first South African elections in 1994. And in the lead up to that, with others, were going around visiting in the Vaal Triangle. ANC and many other groups who had lost people, tortured, summarily killed. How do you get groups like that to come together to seek peace when so many of them have practiced in their own way capital punishment? And listening to these people, when I was only just coming from Australia, just so the depth of the issues that affected their life and their dignity was so great. They needed a vision. And it was spelling out that vision that gave them a hope for peace. We've seen the movie Amazing Grace, and some of us might have seen it in movies recently, and know that even issues that are really difficult, and say with the number here tonight, which is more than 12, or 12 apostles, but it's not thousands, that if you persevere long enough, you'll win through. In the case of Scott, the United States affects the issue. I've been involved in East Timor since 1994, visiting there, and through that to Indonesia, and realising that behind the scenes the United States makes a very big impact on Indonesia. I can remember people were being executed in East Timor, that you couldn't touch, the militias were not allowed to touch anyone who worked for Starbucks coffee chain, because the American government had said hands off on those people, while others were still dying. And so the capital punishment issues in Indonesia are affected by what happens in the United States, from experience. In our Christian faith, there's a variety of opinions as Christians on capital punishment. Anglicans have outlawed it altogether in the Lambeth Conference. The Methodist Church, United Methodist Church, has come out strongly against capital punishment. I've quoted the Catholic Church's position. Lutheran Church would be different. Pentecostal churches would be very different again. But I think the thing that has changed a lot of the mainline churches on capital punishment, officially, if not in action, is that we've come anew to understanding the Scriptures. To understand and to put in its place vengeance in the Old Testament and recognise how Jesus turned the tables on it completely when he spoke and lived the message that God has loved. Indonesia is a country that, like the rest of us, doesn't like to be told what to do. And it's a country that closes ranks if it thinks someone's pushing it around. I learned that in the Aboriginal community, in the striving for human rights and land rights, etc., that often there's just so much pressure of people trying to put you down and deny your rights that you cover up the cracks within your own communities, and you don't have the time sometimes to heal those cracks because you've got to be united against such overwhelming opposition. And in Indonesia, they cover up the cracks. And one of the ways they do that is with the death penalty. Politically chosen, some very good, honest lawyers there and judges, but the political scheme has just such an impact. If Indonesia wanted to let Scott go tomorrow, they could. How do you change not just the law, but the mentality behind that decision making? Can I just end with saying that with Lee and Chris